Alrighty then. Successful Indie Author 5-Minute Focus, episode 443, A Story's Feel. Here's Stanley. We haven't gone out yet. It's the second day in a row where the lows overnight are above freezing. So that's a good sign for meltage and to clearing out all of the snow that we have. All right, A Story's Feel. I was having a hard time with a couple chapters. It just wasn't flowing. I was having a hard time getting the words and hard time moving the story forward. And I looked at the end chapter. Here's where I'm going to end the story. So I write the first chapter, and then I always rewrite the first chapter because the first chapter is so critical to keeping readers in the story. But then I wrote the last chapter. I have the last chapter set up. So here's how I'm going to end the story. So as I'm going through it, and I discovered that it wasn't moving the story forward. I had done a couple things with the character that took him out of character. So and that was holding me up. So I went back and I rewrote, and it took very, very few words to rewrite, re-wicker that part of the story to get people into that plot to keep it moving forward, to bring the other characters, minimize them a little bit, because I had taken a couple characters and moved them above the protagonist in their ability and what they were doing to drive the story forward. So I fixed that, and all of a sudden, hey, a lot of extra words came in to explain things and move things around, put the protagonist back where he needed to be in order to drive that train, and all of a sudden the story came back together and got all kinds of words and keep moving forward. Character incongruity. Make sure your characters stay in character as they're moving the plot forward. The characters drive the plot. The plot never just moves itself. You have to keep that all moving towards that end game. Sometimes you just have to go back and fix it, even if you haven't moved forward. I know there's a lot of writing into the dark, and just keep writing, keep moving forward. Sometimes you need to do that too. But if your gut saying, hey, I just can't do this with the current setup, go back, fix it, and then all of a sudden the avenue and the way forward might appear before you, and you'll say, hey, that's cool, that's how it should be. So, probably doesn't apply as much to plotters, people who rely heavily on that plot, but pantsers, those people who use discovery writing to keep the plot moving forward, as long as you know where you're going. I'm a big fan of pantsing. However, you got to know where you're going. You can't just start a story and say, this is cool, and then free write, because then you're not necessarily going to get to where you want to go. And I think it's really important for your story, for that arc, and for then the series arc, if you know where you're going with this story that's going to be self-contained. So, know the story is ending. All the elements within should work to bring your story to the ending. Yes, you're going to have subplots, side plots that may seem different and seem disjointed, but they may roll into a series arc, which is overall, and then carry forward into other books. But still, all of it should be moving that plot forward. If it's not, and if it takes the plot, it derails your plot, then you got to stop, fix it, get that plot back on track, and then move forward. Sometimes our gut feel is the best thing we can go by, especially if you've read a lot of books, and you'll know it because it's going to feel wrong. Sometimes you're not sure. That's different than feeling wrong. If it feels wrong, fix it, move on. Keep moving forward, keep getting those words, and it's magic when it all comes together. All right, that's it for today. Stories feel it, write it, work it. Peace, fellow humans.